hope you're doing great. Welcome back to another session. My name is Ashpreet, and today we'll be talking about gap filling, articles, conjunctions, and also tenses. And of course, I won't be going into the details and intricacy of every topic, but what we can do is grammar section, especially the B section for class 10th. You can get hold of this section only and only if you practice questions. So guys, in this class, that is what we're going to do. We're going to practice some questions, and also meanwhile, while we're practicing the questions, I'm going to tell you why we didn't choose the other option and why did we opt or go in for this particular option. So I hope these points are going to stick with you and you're going to use them in your board exam. So let's get started. Cool. So the very first case is right here. So there's a conversation that's going on. You've been given 4 options and you have to choose one of them. Cool. So, okay. So let's get started. First, let's try to get into what is a tense and what is the conversation all about. Okay. So Nina, about the Save the Environment campaign being organized in our school. Money. Yes, there will be many interesting events that will take place. Okay, Nina, I dash. So I'll tell you why are we using a particular thing and not going in for the other option. So it'll help you differentiate. Nina, I dash the cross country. Will you be running too? Nina, oh sorry, Money. No, my house mistress does not consider me a good athlete, so I did not. Nina, never mind, you are a good artist, and I'm sure that your name has been sent for the sit and draw contest. Okay, so these are the options. I hope many of you have already answered a lot of them. So let's start with the answer round, which is right here. Okay, so what is the answer to the first question? Okay, so the correct option would be I am very excited about the saving of the environment campaign being the Save the Environment campaign being organized in our school. Money. Yes, there will be many interesting events that will take place. Now they've used I've gone in for during that week. So there's a difference, guys. Let me tell you why. What is the difference between during and of course we get confused when we use during and while. Though both sound the same, but there's a slight difference when it comes to say during generally precedes or isn't come before a noun. So whenever you're talking about a noun, it's basically preceded by this word during, whereas when you talk about while, it precedes a verbal phrase. Now, how can it make sense? For example, let's say during actually is a preposition. It acts more as a preposition, whereas when you talk about while, it basically works as a conjunction. I hope I've made my point clear. For example, let's try to give you some example. For example, also I would talk about this another thing here. For example, when I talk about during, let's say I say she sprained her ankle during the game. So in this sentence, during is basically, it's preceded before a noun and also it's preceding a noun and also it's acting as a preposition. I'm sorry, it's going to be N. So it's also acting as a preposition in this case, like in that case. Similarly, when I'm using, suppose I want to talk about while, I want to give an example. So let's say it's raining. So what I'll say is, if it's raining, and suppose I want to use this sentence also in case of while, so I would say she sprained her ankle while playing So it was like it's acting as a conjunction while playing the game. Or let's take another example. Let's say I say, talk about thunderstorm. So what is going to be the case in that case? I started to get scared during the thunderstorm. It's like that preposition. Whereas you can talk about while, and you can say, I started to get scared while the thunderstorm was raging. It's as simple as that. So getting back to that stuff thing here, so the answer to this one is during that week. So you're talking about that week, you're not particular which week is going to be organized. So here you got to talk about that week. Okay, I will be, now she is, this event is yet to come. It's not happened, it did not take place. We are expecting the event to take place. So I will be running the cross country. Will you be running? So you're asking the other person. No, my house mistress does not consider me a good athlete, so I did not give my name. It's like you did it, you're not doing it, so of course you can eliminate giving. You've not given it, so it's like you did not give, you've not opted for it. Okay, let's try one more case. Now you have to rearrange the sentences. In this case, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Think on this, work on this, and then let me know. Then I'll tell you the difference between, what is the difference between since and for. Most of us get really confused when we use since or for. So we'll clear the difference, a bit of it. I know most of you are very aware of what is, when is since used, but first try these 4 examples. I guess it's really easy. Okay, let's quickly talk about it and then jump to since and for. The first one is going to be, I found the unfortunate coin at the center of it. So guys, it happens that, see, what problem we face is, okay, we feel that one option is going to be the correct one, but if you frame another sentence that does not match with the sentence, with your the one framed by your sentence, sorry, by your friend, like say you framed another sentence, your friend framed another sentence, but both of them, they individually make sense. Unless and until it's making sense, there's no harm with in coming out with different versions. You can use all the words given here, but still frame a very different sentence. So that's how it's perfectly okay, but it should make sense. Second one, I did not know what to do. Third, the Kabuliwala gave the coin to Minnie, and next, her mother had seen him doing so. So I guess it's clear to you. Now I'm going to talk about what is generally the difference when we talk about since and when we talk about for. See, since is basically used when you see it's S, and how you can remember it. It has a starting. It's like it has a precise starting point to it, or maybe you have a starting point, a starting time, or maybe a starting date associated. Like for example, you say, I started this lecture, or I have been watching this session since whatever the time is, like whatever the time the session is going to come. And or maybe you're observing something in the sky, and you say, I've been observing that star in the sky since 9 a.m. Or maybe you can talk about since a particular day, like Monday, or maybe a particular year, like I've been observing that star still there since let's say 2017, or maybe since I left my tuition, or maybe even you can talk since the end of that last month, to be very precise. So it's like you have that starting point. And also since is used when you talk, when you use it's used in present perfect, and also it is used in perfect progressive, it's like it's continuing, it's still there, progressive tense. But when I talk about for, you have a period of time. You're not very sure, but of course you're not sure about the starting date, but you have a period of time associated with you. Then it's like it's a period of time. It may be you might be aware of I would say the time period or something, like the minutes, the hours. For example, I would say you've been studying or working on this watching this video for it's about to be 10 minutes, so yes, for 10 minutes, or maybe for an hour, uh, or maybe for like you've been watching the series, Vedantu series, for a month. So you don't have the precise date with you, the starting date, yet you have the time period with you, or maybe the numbers with you. So that is how you can use for is basically used. Okay, let's proceed on that note to the next set of questions that we have. Here you go. So you're going to talk about the error. You, this passage has not been edited. It's like these sentences that you have to read, and then you have to write the correct one. Just go through it, and then I'll tell you which one is going to be the correct answer. First you analyze. 1 minute, guys. Okay, let's see what the answer is. Okay, Fort William housed several battalions. So the right thing in this case is going to be, see, this arrangement is different. So it, instead of house, this is the error that's written here. This is the error, the part that's not going well. Okay, and also this one. But these are the answers that I have not marked with an option. So Fort William houses several battalions of troops who are always in the state. So instead of who, you're going to write it which. I'll tell you why I didn't use who. So, okay, which are always in a state of ready for war. Does it make sense? See, what happens at times, you're not able to make sense out of it. So what you can do is just go through the entire sentence. It automatically makes sense. So who are always in a state of readiness for war. The ranks of, okay, so it's going to be, since you're talking about a soldier, so the rank of a soldier determine the type of accommodation. It's not going to be determined, it is going to be determines the type of accommodation he gets. I hope it's clear to you. Cool. So let's proceed. It was easy, I guess, guys. Okay. Now, okay, before I jump to this case, I want to tell you what is the difference between could and let's talk about should. So see, what happens is most of us find it really difficult to segregate if it's going to be could, if it's going to be should. Both sound the same. It's like both of them are like they convey the same meaning, but what is the correct one and which one should you use when is what we are going to talk about right here. So see, could is basically, when we use could, it is like something when we talk about in the past tense. It basically talks about an ability. So you want to talk about an ability, or maybe express an ability, or maybe ask for permission. But when you talk about should, basically used when you have to make an advice. See, for example, you want to put out a opinion, like for example, smoking is not good for your health, you should go to a doctor since you're coughing for so long. Or maybe you want to instruct some, tell someone that first of all, you shouldn't spend so much time on PUBG, you should go out and relax yourself. It's like that. In that way, if you want to advise someone, you can probably make use of this should. Similarly, if I say, if you want to talk about could, it is used about if you want to talk about the ability in the past. For example, if I was as young as you, I could probably have achieved this. Like, it's like drawing a comparison when your parents start to compare you with their age, and tell the difference, that I was very energetic at my age, you guys are very lazy nowadays, you're not studying. So it's like could is basically used for an ability in the past. Like, they always tell you, if all these facilities were available to us back then, we could have achieved much more to what we are here now. So yes, it's like you use could to talk about a past ability in the past that could have been there, or maybe something that is a possibility in the future. For example, I could put out this notice on an advertisement, or maybe we could give out some pamphlets that playing PUBG is not very good for health. Or maybe you could join us for the party. It's like you are conveying us that there's a possibility in the future. Or maybe you can also use could when you have to make very polite request. Should is not that polite, but could is really polite. For example, you always ask your teacher, can I come in? It's more polite. So it's like, could you please open the door, or maybe could you please open the window? Or maybe when you're asking in a very polite manner, what happens if you and your brother, they're fighting and you want something to be done? So I get very polite to them. So I like, could you please turn off the tap, or maybe could you please turn on the light? So, or maybe could you please get copies of this page for me, like 10, 12 copies of this page for me. It's like please and very polite comes with could. Similarly, you can use would also. Now, when would is generally, when do we use would? Or when we talk about something that's very unreal, or when we're not very sure about, it's unlikely situation. For example, if I say she would travel around the world if she had more vacation in hand. Or maybe you can write that, okay, if people were more generous, there wouldn't have been that poverty, hunger in the country. Or maybe you can also talk about that, if I would have been the president of the country, I would have done this, I would have done that. So it's like an unreal or unlikely possibility that you talk about when you use this would. And also, would is also used when you make very polite offers. For example, you want to offer someone something, but in a very polite manner. For example, would you like to have anything to eat? Or maybe would you like to have anything to drink? Or maybe would you like to join us for a dinner party? Or maybe would you like to see my wardrobe, or maybe my picture collection? It should be like that. And one thing that you have to take care, guys, please don't make this mistake. Don't use to after all this should, could, and would. Don't use to, please. For example, it does not make sense if you say you shouldn't to smoke. It's like you've already used shouldn't. So you shouldn't smoke makes sense. Don't use to is not followed by all these words. I hope I've made my point clear here. Okay, so let's proceed to the next set that we have. Okay, now separate colored clothes you have you to read the instructions that are given right here, and you have to complete the paragraphs that follow. For example, separate colored clothes from the white ones. Now it's like instructions. ठीक है, so when you're talking about instructions, it's generally is you are using, you basically use are in that sense or is in that sense, depending on whatever the flow is. For example, the colored clothes are separated. Just say you might be watching all those TV advertisement where the other person is talking about how to make a particular dish. The ingredients are washed, the ingredients are used. So it's like they are using that particular tone. So similarly, you can apply the same knowledge here also. Soak the white clothes in hot soapy water. So the white clothes, they are. So imagine you are hosting a TV show and automatically it comes to your mind what is, where are you going to use that tense? Okay, so let's see if we can answer this. Soak the colored clothes in cold water. However, the colored clothes are soaked in cold water. Just try to, use proper the tense should be correct. Scrub out stubborn stains with a brush. Stubborn stains are scrubbed. So it's ed, like generally you use ed, out with a brush. The colored clothes are separated, then the white clothes are soaked in the hot soapy water, the colored clothes are soaked in cold water, and stubborn stains scrubbed out with a brush. I hope it was easy. Okay, so let's see what we have next. So there's a dialogues. You have to read the dialogues and fill in the blank with these are the dialogues. Do not copy the questions. Like you don't have. There's an instruction that you don't have to. So one day in the temple, dear God. So there was this person. This is an event that took place in the temple. Dear God, please give me some heavy rains this year, even heavier than last year. My son, are you a farmer? No, I have a shop and I sell umbrellas. Good, I like this conversation. Okay, so let's see what is there. So one day in a temple, the priest heard a man saying to God, requesting him that they should. It's like you use this, they should be given or they should be given heavy rains that year. So it's like this year gets converted, this gets converted into that. Okay, and last year gets converted into previous. So there is a set that's gets converted. Cool. Let's proceed to the next. Asked him why and further asked him if he was a farmer. So before okay, let's complete it and then I'll tell you how does a thing indirect speech gets converted into an indirect speech and what things you have to keep in mind. For example, let's first cover what direct speech and what gets converted in the form of an indirect form. Suppose you have a conversation that's going on in a direct speech. So, for example, you've used today in an indirect speech, or maybe not indirect exactly, when you're reporting the event in that reported speech, it today gets converted into that day. You have to keep in mind. So rather than writing today, if they're talking about today and you when you're reporting the same in the paragraph, please ensure you don't use today, you use that day. Similarly, now gets converted into then. I'll use black pen so that you can differentiate now. And then tonight gets converted. I'll give you a set. It gets converted into that night. Last gets converted. You can use it before also, and you can also use previous. Okay. Yesterday gets converted into, or it changes its form to the day before. Ago gets converted or it changes its form to before. Then one more I'm going to talk about, last week changes its form to the week before. So you can remember all this when you're talking about reported speech. There are few more things that you can take care of. I'm going to report all of them right here. For example, the next year. Next year gets changed to, it changes its form to the following year. See, tomorrow. It gets changed to the next day, or maybe you can use the following day. Similarly, here gets changed to there. This to that, like I just told you, these to those. So these are some common things that you have to keep in mind when you talk about that reported speech. Ago gets converted to before. And also, guys, there's a change in the tense also when you're working about on this, and there's a change in tense. Ago can also be, you can use ago before also, and you can also use previously. So let's talk about what is the change in the tense that you can probably keep in mind. See, now what is the tense that gets changed here? The very first thing is in direct speech, if you have will, it gets converted into would. If you have can, it'll definitely change into could. If you have must or maybe have to that is being used, it gets converted into must or maybe had to. Similarly, if you have should, it gets changed into should, like remains the same. Ought to remains the same again. It is not, it does not change its form. It is ought to. I hope these things stay with you for long when we talk about the act, the direct and the reported speech. So please take care of these little minute things and we'll get back to that passage. Now see, what is this? Like I told you, what things you have to take care of. It's like the heavy rains this year gets converted, this is going to be that. Heavier rains than last year gets converted, of course I told you, the last week, anything, the year before or maybe the previous year. Similarly, the priest asked him why, father asked him if he was a farmer. So you are, if you are a farmer, okay, so that gets converted. If he was a farmer, then no, I have. So have gets converted, I already told you, have gets converted into had. Here gets converted into there. So these are the small things. I sell gets converted into, of course, in reported, you're going to change it into sold. Cool, guys. So this is the list that you have with you right here. Another thing, and then we talked about the tense also that you have to take care of. Now you have to complete this passage. Let me see, I give you 1 minute to work on it, and let me see if you can quickly give me some good answers. Okay, so an ATM or automatic teller machine, you guys know very well how to use articles. I don't need to teach you that. So let's see, is dash simple machine, dash an extension of a bank, even dash the bank is closed. So yes, it's pretty evident that okay, it's going to be very simple. The machine dash usually placed a small room with a security guard stationed outside. You money from account, deposit checks, order checkbooks, get dash accounts, statements, etc. The ATMs work round the year, 24 hours a day. So let's see what the answer looks like. Okay, so the ATM machine is a simple machine which acts as an extension to a bank even when The bank is closed. The machine is. So you're going to talk about, it's all going on in present. The machine is usually placed in a room. It's like in a room inside, like surrounded by the walls or so. So it's placed in a small room with security guards stationed outside. You can withdraw. Please be very careful when you select this option. You can withdraw. It's not withdrew, it's withdraw. You can do that anytime. You can withdraw money from account, deposit checks, order a checkbook, get your account statements. This is pretty easy, guys. Okay, so let's see what we have next. Again, you have to rearrange them into meaningful sentences. Let me see how many of you can make sense out of it. I'll give you 1 minute to think on it. We've got 4 sentences and 1 minute in hand. I've given you an example. I told you you can frame sentences in a different manner, but that should make or convey a good meaning. Meaningless sentences won't get you marks. Okay, so let's see what the answers are like. It's like you took less than a minute. Check where you are wasting time in unproductive work. Check availability of time for self-study. Judge how much time you need to complete the syllabus. Allocate time as per the need of different subjects. So ensure once you're done, what you can do is just put a slight pencil or something like that, so that you ensure that okay, you've use these words. Okay, so on that note, let's proceed to the next question. Again, a passage that has not been edited. Let me see if we can make correct it or find the mistakes. Newton had a little dog named, do you think it's correct? It was named Diamond. Okay. One day, I'm going to read the thing and then let's see if it makes sense. Okay. One day, when he is had, here we using his. Do you think it makes sense? So let's jump to when he, instead of his, of course, it's supposed to be he was. I'm going to write it right here so that, okay, when he was 50 years old, he went out of his room, left the dog asleep. Left or maybe leaving. Yeah, it's going to be leaving the dog asleep. On the table, lie. No, it's going to be lay. On the table lay papers. They contained all the discovery which he had made while or during. It's like while or during. Of course, it's going to be during. And instead of discovery, it's going to be discoveries. Easy, guys? Okay. Now let's try this one and see if you guys if you guys have got something of what I told you. So there's a conversation that's going on and you have to fill in the passage. The conversation goes like, Ruby, Raj, how is your knee today? Is it still giving trouble? Raj, no, it feels a lot better today. I went to the doctor and he told me it was only a pulled ligament. I should be fine for Saturday's game. Great, but why don't you take it easy today? Maybe just practice throwing. Don't do any running. Okay, so this is the conversation. You have to fill in the paragraph. Do you guys want to try for a minute or so? Okay, so the conversation goes like, Ruby asked Raj. Let me show you the answer if you've done. How his knee was. So today gets changed into that day. Is gets converted into was. Okay, so and if he was still giving him trouble, Raj replied that it feels a lot better. So it was not, and replied that it was not, and it feels gets converted into past tense. That's felt a lot better. Today again gets changed into that day. He told him that he had gone to the doctor. See, I had gone to the doctor who had told me that it was only a pulled ligament. Then just let me erase it. Okay. He hoped that he should be. So we've used should be fine for Saturday's game. Is it clear? So you can use should. I told you should would remain, should ought to would automatically stay the same. So that is why I pushed this example so that it sticks with you. That should is going to remain the same, ought to is going to remain the same. It's not going to change its form. Cool, guys? So let's see what we have up next. Very easy passage. Let me see if you can come up with good examples. Okay, so the very first one is morbid, gorgeous, or haunting death mask. So you have to fill the passage with all the words that are given here. First created in ancient Egypt and dash popular as homage to public figures in 19th century Europe. Last Halloween, the top-selling mask dash candidate Barack Obama. This year, retailers dash a major spike in Michael Jackson look alike. So let me see how many of you could get these answers correct. Word. So they're talking a lot of mass. So it's going to be word. Yes, that's correct. Egypt, first created in ancient Egypt, and of course they remained popular as homages to public figures. Last Halloween, the most or the top selling masks. So they're not talking about masks. So I would say mask was candidate Barack Obama. This year, retailers liked a major spike in, so you can just write yes, they liked, or maybe showed interest, whatever the option is. We don't have the option coming here, so even I forgot. So you can work accordingly. Now, I hope things are clear and you've probably got something out of the lecture or it was useful to you. So, I guess I'm done for the day. Thank you so much for attending the session. I hope you stay healthy. I wish you all the very best for your exam. Please take care, stay healthy, respect your parents, and also stay hydrated.